This is a super juicy episode you won't want to miss, especially if you are an entrepreneur in the fishing industry or not in the fishing industry. And also if you're a mom or if you're not a mom, because this overall conversation is just so inspiring and it feels like you're just chatting with one of your BFFs, because Lindsey just has that special, unique sparkle about her that is just full of love, and she wants to share that with everyone. And I really, really appreciate how transparent she is in this episode. And so Lindsey and I know each other because our husbands are both spiny lobstermen who fish out at the Channel Islands outside of Santa Barbara, California, and outside of Ventura, California. If you know that area, you know the Channel Islands. That's where our men go. So we met through our husbands, and I love that Chris and John they're kind of like fishing buddies in a sense. They call each other when, whatever happens. They're dropping tools off to each other. It's really freaking sweet. I love their little bromance. It's very special. And it's just nice to know that there's another fishing family out there that is about our age and are going through the same experiences that we are, literally within the same fishery, and also kind of witnessing how it is growing and evolving. And speaking of evolving, that is what Lindsey is all about. She is a phoenix rising, ladies and gentlemen. In this episode, we discuss the relaunch of her business, Mothersun and the Captain, and the importance of taking a year break that it was for her to get into that mindset to restructure it in the way that she wants to create and scale in the long term. We also talk about the ways that she and her husband, John, work together on a joint venture called The Good Captain Co., and how they work together to creatively create messages that connect and advocate for their fisheries. And we also discuss the importance of diversifying and finding mentors to help guide them through success. And Lindsey just is so open and beautifully hearted about all of this. It's just such a great interview, and I can't wait for y'all to hear it. So if you like this episode, please screenshot it and tag us on Instagram, and we totally appreciate that. We love it. We see you. We appreciate your support. And also, to further support this podcast, please press follow, just a little simple click, or leave a review. It really, really does help our community gain visibility and helps with future sponsors. And that is something that we are truly, truly grateful for your time, for you even being here. Thank you always for being here. If this is your first time, welcome to the Partners of Commercial Fishermen podcast. And if you're returning, you know how much I love you. Thank you for being here and hanging out with it this week. It's just so great. And I know that this episode is going to be such a beautiful way to help end this incredible year. So thank you always for being here, and I hope you enjoy. I'm Megan Waldrop, host of the Partners of Commercial Fishermen podcast, an extension of an online community for partners to connect and feel less alone. Our podcast invites fishermen, family, friends, and supporters of the industry to learn, laugh, vent, and hear stories about this incredibly unique way of life. What do you say? Let's dive in. Did you know for the price of a latte, you can get 1 month access to our epic private group chat? Just think, you can have instant connection to other POCFs for 30 days or more anytime you need us. Once you sign up, you have instant access to a diverse group of partners to connect and hear how they overcome their challenges in the industry. Learn how to expand and grow your direct-to-consumer fishing businesses. You get on-demand group support for yourself anytime you need it. You can learn about what's happening outside of your fishing bubble and bond over relatable ways to weather through the hard times. You can learn more about what's happening in fishing communities outside the U.S. and in the U.S. if you're international like some of our members. You can learn from other partners on how to get more involved in your fishery. You'll have a group of peers who are willing to explain terms and other things you might not understand. You have a place to bounce ideas off of. A place to relate to this unique lifestyle, empathize with others, and celebrate the wins. A place to listen and learn and be able to ask questions. A place of genuine kindness, positivity, and friendship. As one member in our private chat said, connecting with others in this lifestyle is not only valuable to me, but it also gives me a feeling of worth in being able to share my experiences and help others. We'd love to have you join. Go to POCFpride.com and select the menu option Sign Up to get instant access today. We can't wait to meet you. Okay, Lindsay, I'm really stoked that you're here. Thank you so much for your time. It's always great to see you.
I know you too. I feel like we're so much closer than we really are physically.
Same. I know. I know. Emotionally, we are tied. We are sisters, not only as partners of commercial fishermen, but I feel like on a whole different level that we can talk about in a whole different type of podcast episode.
Absolutely. And we're the Southern women. So we've
That's
got that
right. That's right.
too.
Lindsay is from Alabama. Gulf. You're from the shores of Alabama. Beautiful, beautiful part of the country, the Gulf Coast. So,
Yeah.
woo woo. So great to have you. And people may know you from many, many different iterations of your incredible creative life.
Mm.
Mothersun and the Captain is a huge, amazing creative company that has apparel. You had made your own. One of my favorites was when you made your own coloring book for your children and seeing them
Oh,
color those images. I mean, it was just beautiful. I love it, love it, love it. You've
thank
had
you.
a course also with Mothersun, and I interviewed you for the blog several years ago. And since then, there's been a lot of exciting transitions, including you stepping away from Mothersun for a hot minute. And I would love for you, because now I hear there's rumblings that Mothersun will rise again. I would love for you to tell us about the rebirth of Mothersun and what made you come to that decision of taking a break and then wanting to begin again.
Oh my gosh, yes. I'm so glad you're asking this question. It's something that I definitely want to talk about. The burnout, the extreme burnout that I finally faced. I'll get to that in a second. So back up a little bit just for your new viewers. Motherson and the Captain, I started around 2016. I was a single mom. I had a 2-year-old in tow, and I was completely starting my life over. I was 32, and I went for my low hanging fruit. And for me, that's screen printing. So in my 20s, before I became a mom, I owned a screen printing shop. So I printed for companies all over the country. And I had my own private label t-shirt line. So that's what I knew how to do. And right before I gave birth, I sold that company. So 2 years later, as I was coming out of this the haze, that's just what I knew to do. So I started screen printing trucker hats again. And then I would call up my old wholesale buyers, all the surf shops around town, and they started carrying the hats again. And it was like this new version of myself, but I was a mom and I was more wise and more established. I just knew so much more than where I was in my 20s, obviously. So it was this really fun, creative way to channel all this pent up energy. It was a major healing chapter as well. I was coming out of a narcissistic, abusive relationship, and Motherson and the Captain was this really beautiful kind of therapeutic outlet. And so I was just writing all kinds of empowering messages and drawing these crazy powerful goddess figures, mother figures, and literally putting them all over my house. And like everywhere I turned, it was a reminder, like to, how to just kind of stay with my head above water at the time. So I started putting that stuff on coffee mugs and sweatshirts and whatever I could dream up in my head. I just started printing these messages on things for moms. And I was still breastfeeding at the time. So I started making breastfeeding tanks where you could slip your boob out from the side and make feeding on the go really easy. And that took off. And somehow I was able to just build this sweet community of women and moms who could really relate to the empowering messages that I had to offer. And it was really amazing. Like, I just felt like I was so supportive and loved during a super tumultuous time, and just kind of picked up the pieces again. And then it was a crazy experience. Anyways, so then fast forward, and I got married to my soulmate, and for the first time, and he is ironically a captain. So it was all kind of laid out. And so we got married and we had our own baby, and my community just fell in love with him. And took them along for the ride, and it was just it was really sweet. And so then COVID hit and online business took off. It was insane. I launched a whole nother side of my business. I had an entrepreneur course and a mindset and manifestation course, and I was coaching clients. The store was going insane. I was running all that. I was doing books for both of our businesses and also trying to, we started the Good Captain Co. And I know we'll get into that later. And it was nuts. And I had a newborn, and then she grew into a toddler, and then my oldest daughter got into her preteen years, and finally a year and a half ago, my oldest daughter was 9, our youngest daughter was 4. I hit my wall. It was crazy. It was like 15 years of entrepreneurship and building businesses, and I hit my wall, and it was intense. It was just this extreme burnout that I never saw coming, because running my shows are what fuels my flame. I mean, they make me so happy. I'm okay with working around the clock and building these dreams, but then also being a mother of 2, and as a partner of a commercial fisherman, those guys are offshore all the time. So we are manning the fort. Like, the household is ours. It's our realm. And doing that and raising the kids and running these businesses, I hit a wall. And I really had to take a step back and admit that I couldn't do everything. I think, we as women, we just take on so much. And so it was 2 springs ago. And I talked with John, my husband, and we had a powwow, and we decided that I just needed to chill for a moment and put the brakes on. And it was the best conversation I ever had. And I remember I was doing a Q&A on Instagram, with my customers, and I think it was April. And someone asked me, what are your future plans for Mothersun and the Captain? And I was like, oh my God, I'm just going to go out and say it. I'm going to put this out there. I'm taking a fucking break, everybody. And so I just said it without kind of having that plan of how I was going to do it. And so I put the store on a hiatus sale, and my customers literally bought everything. I mean, bought everything. I think I had 2 extra large sweatpants left, and a couple of my dad coffee mugs left, and that was it. It was so cool. And then, I wasn't idle. It really just kind of opened up my life to pursue other things that. When I made that announcement during that Q&A, one of my entrepreneur clients messaged me immediately, and she was like, I know you just said that you're taking a break, but maybe that means that you could illustrate my children's book. And I was like, oh my God, hold on a minute. I don't know. I just said I was going to take a break. Am I really going to sign up for the next thing? I thought I wasn't doing this. And so I didn't know what to say. I kind of took my time with it, and I talked to my husband about it. He was like, you have to do that. That is what you want to do on your break. You want to paint again. And I was like, oh my God, okay, let's do it. So that came along, and then I was able to volunteer for my girls' school. I never even had time to go into the classroom and volunteer. So I was able to start volunteering, and I painted a mural on campus. That was really, really fun. I did that with my oldest daughter, while Echo, the 4-year-old at the time, was running amok around us. And then I was really able to own in on the Good Captain Co. And I really able to focus on pivoting, from focusing on the mom world and the mom demographic, which can be heavy at sometimes. And I was able to kind of free my mind to focus on the Good Captain Coast demographic, which was something I had never done before. It was just this masculine arena that was really just refreshing. Like
Mm.
there was no heaviness to it. That was really fun. And my husband has the sick style. He is just, oh man, he's just got this fine style and fabulous ideas. And it was really fun to collab with him more. Anyways, so that is sort of the update in a nutshell. And then I'm launching Mothersun and the Captain this weekend for the first time in a year and a half, and getting back into that, and it's a whole new ball game. It's just so fun.
Wow. I'm so happy you gave the history. I love hearing your story. I can't ever get tired of it. And it just shows how your core, one of your core purposes is just straight up inspiration and empowerment and just total love. Because not only were you showing that through your graphics and putting them on products that people could buy and actually tangibly hold, but even the point where you said, I need a break is so inspiring, because people would be like, wait, how would somebody who's at the quote unquote top of the game feel comfortable taking a break? That seems really scary to me. And you gave people, and to me as well, to be like, oh, yeah, it's okay to take a break. You actually, as women, we need time to retreat, to get all that energy back and kind of recirculate where we want to put that energy and put that love. And so I applaud you for making that huge decision. And I'm so excited to hear about the future of Mothersun. And could you tell us specifically what products you're going to be launching and when? We'll talk about it at the end as well, but I would love to get a little sneak peek.
Totally. And I did want to add in there, like, I have to give all the credit to our fishing business, because it gave me the luxury and the ability to take a break. And so I couldn't have done it without our fishing business supporting us, so I'm super grateful for that. I'm
And
super grateful for such a supportive partner. Uh,
yes.
like it's I owe it all to John. So I do need to slip that in there. And with the new offerings, with the new Mothersun, oh man, I'm so excited. So when I was taking my hiatus, I told my customers, I'm like, all right, I'm on a mission to find a trucker hat with no foam and no polyester in it. And I want to really focus on more sustainable routes for my products. And I found it. I did it. These hats are so cool. They're 100% cotton. They're just more sophisticated. They're not just the average trucker hat that you see everywhere. So they're so much more comfortable, and I'm like in love with them. They're really cool. So I have a couple new hats coming. I have the children's book that I'm so excited to launch. I have been chomping on this all year long. I mean, yeah, it's been in production for about a year now, and the author is the coolest woman. She's a surf mom down in Baja, and she wrote the book, and she's amazing. And she came to California and did a whole tour of selling the book from like Oregon down to Huntington Beach like this summer, and she killed it. And she's so inspiring. And so we finally get to launch the book. I'm really excited about that. I have a surprise home good product that I'm bringing back. It was one of my best sellers from my last store. I'm not gonna say what that is. I'm gonna leave one element of surprise. And then I have a super fun like big canvas bag that I made. It's like an overnight bag slash beach bag slash pool bag that I'm obsessed with. I had the blank for over a year, and I just used the crap out of it. And I was like, I got to put this in my store. It's like so rad. So it's very small. I am not going to dive back into the full like store yet. Also, when I was making this launch, I was nauseous in my first trimester of pregnancy, and I could barely get out of bed. And so I have kept it very small.
Yay. Yes. Lindsay is not only birthing a business, but she's also pregnant. She'll be birthing her third child. We could not be happier. I'm so, so stoked for you. And I love your shout out to your husband. I love your relationship. It's so loving. It's such a team effort. There's so much mutual respect there. And yes, the fishing business. It's amazing that you guys are able to work together on that as well. And for people who don't know, John is a spiny lobster fisherman in California outside of his port. His home port is Santa Barbara, and he fishes out at the Channel Islands, just like my husband, Chris. And then he also is an uni fisherman. And those are his two fisheries, correct?
We also do sea cucumber.
Oh, interesting. Okay, sea cucumber. Yeah, Chris did that one year, and I didn't even know that was a thing. I was like, what do you mean sea cucumber? It's a thing. Like, it's a legit thing.
It
And
is a
is he
thing.
doing sea cucumbers out at the Channel Islands?
Yeah.
Awesome. Yes. Okay. And see, okay. So let's get into fishing real quick. So spiny lobster is open from October to March. Uni is all year round, correct? And that is sea urchin. If uni sea urchin, same thing. And then the sea cucumber, what is that season like?
That is starts in June and goes till, when does it go till? It's just summer.
Oh,
Maybe August or September. And I think it's also open for a small amount of time in the spring, um, which we don't participate in because of lobster. So yeah, sea cucumber is interesting. It's just a Chinese market. It's like a
yeah.
supplement. It's like a joint supplement for them. I've even read that it's like cancer, like like a cancer treatment.
Hmm.
It's like a health supplement for the Chinese. They love it. So yeah, they just grind it up and turn it into powder and like it's huge. It's like the weirdest thing. Like the sea cucumbers are so weird. They're so
They are
brown.
so funny looking. They are,
Like,
they are funny. When Chris sent me a picture, he did it up in Alaska for a summer, or he did it, it was in the fall, I believe, in Alaska. I was like,
yeah,
what in the world? But yeah, that funded our life on the boat when we lived on a sailboat and traveled Mexico for one season. He was like, I'm just gonna run up and do these sea cucumbers and we'll just launch the boat later. I was like, okay, what are you talking about? Let's do this. That sounds great.
that's
Okay.
so bad.
Fishing, it is such a great it's, I mean, as we know, it has so many different facets to it. But one of the greatest facets is the freedom that can come with that. And not only the freedom with its changing seasons, but also personal freedom for partners of commercial fishermen to be able to have time. Like you said, I love that you called the home your own realm. I love that word. Uh,
Yeah.
to be able to have those times to ourselves, which are so precious. And so,
I
yeah,
swear that time is like what keeps relationships so healthy. You know, having that time to like be by yourself, I need my alone time, like just naturally, and especially like with two kids, like I don't get much of it anymore, but to have that alone time, like while like John is offshore, and then we miss each other, so when he comes home, I just want to jump his bones and like like reunite, right? Like
yeah,
it's so
yeah.
glad. Like
Oh,
there's no burnout in that at all. I love this lifestyle. I know it's like for very specific types of women, which I would love to get into later, but like it works for me for sure.
yeah, I love that. Absolutely. It's, when people in the community, other partners talk about, missing their fishermen. And, at the beginning, it is hard because you're not used to it. But I'm like, but flip that script real quick. Like, look at the whole new world that you have that so many other people in different types of relationships do not ever get to experience. It's just the biggest gift. Once you get out, I mean, once you're used to the flow, it is the biggest gift that we can have as women. And it's like, yeah, it is so nourishing to a relationship. And I had somebody mention in our community, she's like, I think more relationships would survive if they were with commercial fishermen for this exact reason, which I
Yes.
love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. That's
Go
how.
us. Okay. So I want to talk about the good captain. So I didn't realize that you had started that in before 2020 or around 2020. I didn't realize that. And so I wanted to know, how did that come about? And then also the mission.
Yeah. So John's been, and he's been, I mean, he's been a sea captain for 20 years. and he's been a commercial diver for about 15. So he already had his business established when we started dating. I mean, I'd known him for 10 years prior. Like this is what he had always done. Minus he used to do underwater like construction, like crazy hard helmet type stuff on like oil rigs, and it was bananas. His stories are bananas. But anyway, so he already had his business. So when I came along, we rebranded his business and we renamed it to the Good Captain Co. And that was, I want to say that was like in 2018, maybe. So, but he was already very well established, but I'm just the marketing lady. So, I came in and we started, everything new. Like, we did the LLC, and I just reestablished him as the Good Captain Co. And then the mission with that is just well, there's a couple elements to it, but the Good Captain Co represents all the good men out there, right? How to be a good husband, how to be a good dad, how to be a good businessman, just how to be a good human. And so we talk about that on our platform. And then there's the other side of it, which is the fishing advocacy, because we are just up against, people coming at the industry left and right, all the activists and the NGOs. I mean, this has been a fight for decades and decades and decades to keep domestic fisheries open, and harvesting for Americans. And so it's become an advocacy thing for us also. So we're using the platform to really talk about like the fisherman's point of view of being the true, the true environmentalists out there, which is not something that they talk about a lot, So those are the elements of the Good Captain Co. So while I was on my hiatus from Mothersun and the Captain, we started making logo designs and product designs, and we did a soft launch last year and started getting merch out there just for fun. And that's kind of where we're at right now. Yeah.
Wow. And so you guys are able to, because of your background with Mothersun, was it easy for you to figure out what you would work on with the Good Captain Co, or was there a pretty clear line for y'all to decide on who's going to do what?
Right. So I love this question because when there's a lot of families running family businesses, right? And so and we are one of them. And so I did want to talk about like how we actually do this. So our communication is super clear and our roles are super clear. So John's role, obviously, he's the forefront of the fishing. He does all of the fishing with our deckhand. He does all of the selling and all the fulfillment. He's such a good salesman. And he's created these insane markets for the business that we keep filled. We have incredible, like some of the top restaurants in Santa Barbara carry all of our seafood, because not all seafood restaurants carry domestic product. A lot of them are, frozen, flown in from fucking Thailand. So, which a lot of people don't understand. And so even the most popular restaurants in the harbor don't carry local seafood. So John has established those relationships with some rad restaurants in Santa Barbara. And so he's so gnarly. So obviously that's his realm. I run all the books. I work with our CPA like monthly. And then when we need John to come in to have like more critical conversations, he comes in. So we have a really good relationship with our CPA. Thank you, Melissa. So I run the books at home. I do for our Instagram marketing. I have all that organized. So I'm editing all the photos. I'm editing all the reels. John's diving with his GoPro and getting us killer underwater footage. It's so beautiful out there. It's so beautiful. And part of that for the activist side is, these environmentalists, want to say one thing about the environment down there, but John has a completely different take on it because he's there every single day for fucking decades. Sorry, excuse my language. So like part of him filming is like, this is what's really going on out there. So that's really cool. And that's a really important part of the advocacy part of the Good Captain Co. So I'm doing all the reels. I'm doing all the marketing and social media scheduling, but he does all the writing. So John is a phenomenal writer, and anyone that follows him, when you read his posts, he's like a poet.
Yeah.
Like, it's really incredible. And so we work together on his posts. Like, I give him the prompts. I tell him what we need to talk about. He writes it out in notes. He sends it to me. I edit it. I keep him on task. And then, and then he'll post. And so we have this like really fun dynamic with our marketing, our social media marketing. And then I run the online store. I do all the fulfillment, all the design, all the production. Like, I'm going to the printers, picking everything up. Like, he doesn't think about it. He doesn't worry about it. Like, when the orders come in, like, it's like it doesn't matter. Like, he doesn't have to ever think about that. That's my realm. And so like the ball doesn't get dropped often because we have our very clear, distinct roles, and I know what to expect of him. He knows what to expect of me. He's doing all the invoicing and QuickBooks for all the buyers, while I'm doing the accounting at the end of the month to make sure that, all the accounts are, covered and everything's running smoothly. So we just have this really great symbiotic thing going on, but it's like that communication is really clear, where he knows exactly what I am doing and I know exactly what he's doing, and everything's getting covered. So it works really well.
That sounds incredible. John is such an incredible writer. I was going to ask about that. And I really love, as a writer, I love that you send prompts, because that is so helpful, and it gives him a baseline of how to be creative within that. And that's so great, because I feel like sometimes it can be overwhelming when you're like, I have so many things I want to talk about. What do I even say? And to have these prompts out, I mean, even if someone is listening and they're doing this on their own, maybe prompt yourself, because now I'm thinking, oh, maybe that's what I need to do for myself. What are the points that I want to talk about before I start writing? Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I keep a list in my planner, because the ideas will come to me for the Good Captain and for Mothersun. And so I actually either I have a physical list of my prompts in my planner, and then I'll really get into more detail like on my phone, where I'll type it out. And so when the ideas come, I mean, like on Sunday we were watching Yellowstone, and there was this epic quote, and I was like, oh my God, John, that's like exactly like our fishing industry, like, and like writing it down and always adding it to the, we're inspired daily, right? Just like being in the environment that we're in, and the ideas just are always coming. And so it's so important to just write it down. And then like when you have to sit down, and like my process is, we have for our social media marketing, is we have a shared album. So I'm like, he's taking all the footage offshore, and I'm like, fill the album, fill the album, fill the album. I'm going to go through them. Then I have a program where I edit all the photos exactly the same way. Then I have a scheduling app, as all the stuff I used to teach in the entrepreneur course. And I have a scheduling app. It's called Preview. And I throw the photos in there. I'm rearranging them, making sure they look, because I'm like tedious like that, in particular. And I know like now a lot of the experts are like, who cares what it looks like? Everything is reels anyway, whatever. But it's the graphic designer in me that like, I can't let that go. Anyway, so everything looks pretty, in my Preview app. And then, and so when it's time to post, I'm like, this, here's your picture for today. And I'll, let's write about this, or like, do you have any ideas? Like, like here, like, these are the things that we need to talk about. This is, what's going on with, these Sacramento meetings right now, or whatever. And so it's just, we keep it really light and fun, but still organized, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for being so transparent about your process. That was so helpful. I'll have this transcript. So I think I'm going to this will be the first podcast that I post the actual transcript, so people can check out all the notes and stuff like that, which will be very helpful. So thank you for that, Lindsey. That's awesome. Okay. So I know you kind of touched on this a little bit, but I'm wondering, and I know it was like the vibe you mentioned, the women but the women and then the men side of working with Mothersun and working with the Good Captain Co. how is it how is it different this time? Like how is Mothersun and running the Good Captain Co. like how is it going to be different for you?
That's a great question. I think simplifying, I think, is the golden ticket, right? I have so many entrepreneur friends, and there's like a teetering point, right? Where at some point you take on too much and you get overextended. And it doesn't mean your margins are getting bigger or your income is growing, like there's just this magical like point where like that's the hard part to find is like where is the money spot, right? Like, and so I think for me it was simplifying and like getting rid of the income streams that we didn't need anymore, or like for my entrepreneur course, for me it was not as passive as I wanted it to be because technology is moving so fucking fast, and I actually had to be updating it constantly. And I had videos recorded and all these things, and I had to like constantly change them because everything was moving so fast. I mean, the algorithm changes monthly. And so it wasn't passive like I wanted it to be anymore. It was passive for a while. And so that like evolved and changed, and it just wasn't what I wanted to be doing all the time. And so I think that you just evolve and you cut out the riffraff and you really focus on your numbers, and see what's working, what's not working, and moving forward, continuing to run the numbers, like not to do anything until you have your spreadsheets built. We have a mentor that we talk to. So like for future plans, with the Good Captain and Mothersun and the Captain, it's like you have to do the research. When we have these ideas, like the Good Captain Co., we're sitting on so many rad ideas because John is so smart, and we have all these products that like he'll dream up the product, then I go and I pursue like the manufacturing, I get all the quotes, I throw them into spreadsheets, we see what the bottom line's going to be, we really like own in on the profit margins, and if the margins aren't there, we've like no strings attached, no emotions. He's taught me to be like very logical. We're so emotional, they're so logical and such realists. And so he's like, fuck it, like I love this idea, but the margins aren't there. Like, let's move on. We do have a mentor. And so whenever my process for the beginning part of this, all the research and the numbers have been run, we'll run it by the mentor. And he's like, go, no, whatever. So that's like how we begin the process. But I think the reason why this time around is so different is because we're just so numbers based. So like we're not doing anything that's not gonna work out money wise, like margin wise. So I also like, with fishing businesses, it's pretty scary. Like we feel like we could be shut down at any minute, by outside forces that don't know shit about what's going on. Their priorities are in the wrong places, and we're very vulnerable. And so I told John, like, I want to diversify out of fishing. So we're working on other investments. Like for me, the low hanging fruit is the online selling and, making these products and branding the Good Captain. And so, that's another income stream that's not fishing oriented. While our demographic is men on the water, ocean stakeholders, boat guys, all the ocean lovers out there, like that's our demographic. But we need to diversify out of commercial fishing. I don't want to invest in commercial fishing anymore. What he's got going is great, but it also depends on him. Like he has to be there physically, and our future is definitely relieving him of that. So that he jokes like he's going to be diving until he dies, until he's like 90, right? So he's never going to quit because he loves it so much. But I don't want like our future to be that we rely on him to be out there physically, so
Absolutely. And physically is the thing. It's like, how much longer physically can they do what they're doing at the pace that they're doing? It's pretty, yeah. Everything you said, there's so much goodness. I want to point out, I really love how Lindsey and John reach out and get help from other people. There's so many different people that you reach out to. I would love to know, how did you find your mentor? You don't have to name them, but how did you go about finding a mentor and someone that you would trust their knowledge and their wisdom in business and maybe even fishing to bring into your fold?
this is a great question and a great story. I feel like business is so cosmic. I mean, there is a magic to it, and we're always being led. We're being led to exactly where we need to go. I truly believe that. This is what my manifestation course is all built on. It's really trusting the process and knowing that, like, the helpful people come into your lives at the right timing when you need it the most. And this is so funny. So John was at the end of the pier delivering to one of our restaurants, the Shellfish Company. And John is smoking hot. He's super fit. He's covered in tattoos. His style is super cool. He's got this big diesel truck. He, drives to right in front of this restaurant on the ocean. He gets out, usually doesn't have a shirt on, which I always say, John, the world doesn't want you wearing a shirt. Like, you need to be shirtless all the time. So he usually gets out, not wearing a shirt, and he's super fit, and he's loading these urchins and filling these tanks, and people are just like googly eyed over him. Like, I will film it when I'm with him, and it's like people are just like, like, what, who is this? Like, men and women. And it's like, so he's got, like, it's like kind of a show. Like, when he shows up, people are like waiting for his urchin. They're like, I mean, they sell urchin like hotcakes at this location. And John is part of the selling. And so he's like filling the tanks, and people are asking him questions, and ordering uni right away, and like they're seeing it coming fresh right out of the water. And so anyway, so it's really like a conversation starter, and he's met so many people this way, and this is how he actually met our mentor. And so this guy is from Salt Lake City, and he's like a serial entrepreneur. He's been on Shark Tank a few times, like, and he was out in Santa Barbara for a wedding with his wife. And he saw John, and he is like, who are you? And what do you do? And before he, struck up that conversation, like, I was always like, John, like, we're selling you. Like, men want to be you. Like, you are the epitome of, like, you get to commute with the dolphins, and you don't sit at a desk, and you're doing what you love, and you are with the whales and the harbor seals, and like, you are literally living the dream. And you're a very successful businessman while doing what you love. Like, like people are so intrigued by you, like, you are the brand. And he'd always be like, oh, no, 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 like, nobody wants to like do what I do or listen to me or whatever. And I'm like, no, seriously, babe, you're the brand. And it took this guy coming along to tell him everything that I had always told him about himself. And he was like, no, no, no. He's like super humble. And the guy's like, what are you? I want to know everything about you. And he scheduled a meeting with John like that Monday. I mean, he was leaving Monday, like on his jet, and he was like, I got to meet you. So like, John met him on the boat in the harbor, I think at like 5:30 or 6 a.m. in the morning, and told him, everything about the business. And the guy's like, you're so marketable. Like, I want to help you in any way I can. And we looked up everything that he said, to like, is this guy legit? Like, who is this guy? And we've had this relationship with him for like a couple years now. And he's so he's not an investor. He's like helped us get our trademark, and he's done all of these things that have built this like trust in him over time. Because we are not the type, well, like it takes a lot to build trust with John and I. Like, he is got his feet on the ground. I'm a little bit more lost in the clouds, of course, but from my past experiences, like I like have big walls up and boundaries up. Like takes a lot to earn my trust after like my own personal experiences. And so we just took it really slow, and we ran all of our ideas through him, and he's so smart. I mean, he is the ideal entrepreneur. He's got several companies. He's very successful. And so it's just fun to have him as like a member on our team that we can turn to and be like, what do you think about this? Like this idea. And he's got killer ideas too. And it's fun. It's really cool to have him around.
Wow, that's amazing. I love this story. Also, thank you, John, for keeping your shirt off for everybody out there, because let me tell you, the very handsome man, and also represents fishermen that many in our community, all of our beautiful fishermen out there, because it's funny, I talk to people in Wilmington, North Carolina, or anywhere, like, and they think of grouchy old fishermen with the yellow slicker hats and the beards that are white. And I'm like, no, it's so not like that. There's a whole other generation of incredible fishermen. And thank you, John, for leading the way without your shirt. Like, thank you on behalf of everyone. I love that. I love that he was able to come around to it, because fishermen can be so humble, and that is a great quality to have. And also that can be one of your biggest strengths. I mean, that's how people are going to be able to connect with wild caught seafood, is to know that there are people like them, or people they aspire to be, actually out there handling this wild caught seafood and actually care about this seafood. And we were raised in a generation that has more of an awareness and a more of a consciousness around the environment. And we are now out there. We're actually adulting, y'all, and we're the ones that are making these incredible influences to others. And so I really appreciate that. And I love the mentor story. I think it's really important for everyone to understand that you can't really do it on your own. Like, you can't do it in a vacuum, as people like to say. You have to have people to bounce ideas off, and people that actually know better. And I love that the guy isn't even in commercial fishing, but he has that business mindset. That's another, I think, such a huge quality, because he's able to see it on maybe a bigger scale than maybe we are able to, because we are so in it.
Yeah, absolutely. I really truly think, like, when we're running our businesses, it's really important to have the team, because you can't do everything. I mean, I want to relinquish even more, like right now. I mean, we're not ready because we're just not there. Like, I want to relinquish all drop shipping and fulfillment. I mean, I can do this stuff in my sleep. One day I want, a center doing it for us, so we can be free to travel and do the things with our kids. And, I don't have to be doing that anymore. There's a lot of things that, like, I want to relinquish, but it's so important to have the team. Like, and we have a really good team right now. Like, the dynamics are working really well. So yes, finding the team, finding the people that you can trust, the people who are smarter than you, specifically. So yeah.
Yeah.
Part of the pie.
That's it for today, y'all. Tune in next week, where we finish our interview with Lindsey, and she goes into depth on who they've included into their business team and how that helps strengthen their business overall, how her and her husband are able to work together so seamlessly to create the Good Captain Co., and her manifestation course that is just so freaking good. I've already gobbled it up. Y'all are going to love it. Stay tuned. I'll see y'all next week. Thanks for listening. Thank you so much for listening. To support our community, I'd so appreciate it if you'd tap the subscribe button to this podcast or write a review. And if you're a POCF who wants to connect further, go to POCFpride.com for weekly vlogs and to learn about opportunities to join our private communities. We'd love to have you.